Hey guys, welcome to another Bitter Butter Render Blender tutorial. Now previously I made a awesome motion tracking tutorial and someone asked me how you could erase the annoying motion tracking dots in your footage. So that's what I'm exactly going to do in this tutorial. So without further ado, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and the notification button, and let's get on with the video. Okay, so first in Blender, I already motion tracked this scene. Now, like I said before, if you want to learn how to motion track, I'll put a link to that in the description and in the video. So with the footage, what we have to do to make sure is that, first of all, the surface it's on should be the same color and shouldn't have much shadows, or in other words, should be evenly lit, so we don't create any weird shading issues when we do erase it. So once you've gotten your scene set up, you're going to go back into the motion tracking and select the motion tracking dots that you want to erase. In this case, I'm only going to erase the top ones, and I've already selected that. Once you've gotten that, you're going to go into the geometry tab and click 3D markers to mesh. And then you can go back into layout, and as you can see, the ones that we selected have now vertices on them. It's a good thing that this is just one mesh made up of vertices. Now what we're going to do is instance these vertices to be a UV sphere. First, we're going to add a UV sphere, scale it down to an appropriate size, and move it out of frame. Once we've gotten that, now what we're going to do is click on the vertices, and then we're going to go into particle properties, add a new particle property, make sure it's hair, and we're going to name it whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to name it motion tracking dots, just like so. Then, since we only have vertices, we're going to make emit from vertices, render as object, and instance object as the UV sphere, just like this. And then now we have to scale them so they actually cover the tracking dots. To do that, you can go into wireframe mode, zoom in a little, and see if they cover it up. For me, they've covered it up perfectly, but in your case, they might have not. So to fix that, you can, in the render, go into scale and just increase and decrease them until they perfectly fit. Okay, so now once we've actually gotten the dots set up, all we need to do is add a texture, change the render properties a little, and just render it out. So with that selected, what we're going to first do is go into the texture preview, add a new texture, and with that surface, it's not going to be a principal BSDF, instead a emissive BSDF. Then the color, and make sure the value slider is all the way up to the top, which is a 100% white value. Now with those particles selected, shift click on the original mesh or the UV sphere and Control I to invert the selection. Then you can click on H to hide them. Now once you've hidden them, they're hidden in the viewport, but they're not hidden in the actual render yet. So to do that, we're going to come over here and click on that camera looking icon. Once you've done that, with the ones that are hidden, you can just start disabling them, just like this. Now once you've done that, now what you're going to want to do is go over here and make sure the render engine is Eevee. Now you could do it in cycles, but since this is just a few spheres that are emitting white light, it won't make a difference. It's just that cycles will take longer for the cost of nothing. And then now finally, you're going to want to go into the compositing. Now you might have a bunch of other nodes as well, but that doesn't really matter. Just delete everything there is, add a render layers, and plug the image into the composite node, just like so. Then you can go into the output properties, scroll down, make sure the file format is FFmpeg, MP4, or Matroska. Both of them don't support an alpha value, which is good because the background needs to be black and not transparent. Then you can go ahead and render the animation out. Okay, so now the video has actually rendered out. As you can see, it's just the spheres moving around in a black background. Now what we're going to do is go into the viewport, and then we're just going to delete the particle systems and the UV sphere. Then you can click Alt H to unhide everything and make sure to uncheck the camera icon as well, just like this. Now all the magic is going to happen in the compositing tab. We're going to go into the compositing tab, and now you've gotten the render layer set up here. Now we're going to add a viewer node so we can actually see what's going on in the background, and plug in the image into the viewer image. Now as you can see, we've gotten the white balls. Now that might not be happening in your case. That's alright. The render layers isn't anything that we need to worry about now. Instead, what we need to do is add a movie clip. And with this movie clip, you're going to want to open up the original background with the tracking dots. Just like this, we're going to add a alpha over, plug that into the viewer, and make sure the movie clip is on the top. And then what you're going to want to do is duplicate the movie clip by clicking Shift D. Scroll down until you find the alpha over node. Make sure it's convert pre-multiplied so the alpha values work properly. And then now with the new movie clip you created, that's going to be the one that you just rendered out, which is that video right there. Now what you're going to want to do is duplicate the alpha over node again and plug in the image into factor. Now the two files that we're actually going to factor is actually the same video, which is the previous movie clip. So we're just going to plug them both into this. And now if you have the Node Wrangler add-on, all you have to do is Control Shift click on the alpha over node. But if you don't, you can just plug that image into that image input. Now we need to actually start making the tracking dots disappear. To do that, first we're going to add a translate node to the bottom image, and we're just going to move the X until it covers up the tracking dots. As you can see, even if it does cover it up, it's still a little gray. To fix that, we're going to add a color ramp and add it to the movie clip over there, and just crunch the white values all the way up, just like that. Okay, now as you can see, even though we did crunch the white values up, it did the total opposite. So the tracking dots are actually more visible now. To fix that, we're gonna unplug this top image alpha over value so we can see better, and then just mess around with the x-axis until the tracking dots are not in view anymore. Just like that. Now, since the tracking dots aren't in the view anymore, if we plug in that movie clip back into the alpha over, you can see that the tracking dots have fully disappeared. Now, in some cases, you might start seeing halos around the places. That's usually caused by poor lighting or a uneven background. So to fix that, all you simply have to do is add a dilate and erode node over here, just like this. Mess around with the distance. I went with the value of 5. Now once you've done that, it will start having those weird effects again. Now we do not want that, so you can decrease the values, and if it still doesn't work, just go over here in the translate node and just mess around with that until you find the perfect sweet spot. Once we've gotten that, now all you have to do is first add a blur. Click on that, then you can make sure it's Gaussian blur and make the X and Y value 10. And all that does is it kind of feathers out the edges of the halos. Okay, so we've finally gotten rid of the motion tracking dots, but now we need to composite our render over the file that the motion tracking dots are erased. To do that, first let's just bring out the both alpha over values we have here, the nodes, and add another alpha over. With that, you're just going to plug into the viewer and plug the render output on the top and the one that we just erased, the motion tracking dots, on the bottom. Then you can also plug that into the composite node. Once all of this is done, you can go back into the render properties and make sure it's in cycles. And then all you guys have to do is render it out and get your awesome render without the annoying motion tracking dots. Okay, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and the notification button, and I'll see you in the next one.